Hey guys, it's Adrienne. Before we get into today's episode, I just wanted to give a quick heads up. This video discusses adult themes and content, so viewer discretion is advised. Let's go ahead and get into the video.
Right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to A Good Things Marriage Chats. I'm Tiara.
And I am Adrienne. Welcome back to Marriage Chats. Y'all, I know you see her. She's beautiful. She's lovely. Her hair is full and abundant for the rest of her days. Okay. Okay. We have Miss Aleisha Olatunde back on with us. Welcome back, Leash.
Thank you. I love being here with y'all.
Y'all, Leash is our new best friend. So
Yes.
don't be right. Don't be jealous. Don't be jealous because she's not. And me, I don't like to share my friends.
I'm sure a little bit, just a little bit.
She's not, but I don't share. Right.
Ooh.
All right, y'all. We're gonna hop right on into this entree of meat and potatoes.
Yeah, so we did have Aleisha on the show before, but just in case you guys have not yet went back to catch the first time, if Aleisha, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, your company, what you do, background, stuff like that?
Yeah. So, hey, thanks for having me again. My name is Aleisha Olatunde. I am the owner and operator of WholeYouTherapy, KC. And so I walk alongside people on their journey of mental health, of sexual health. I'm a sex coach, which is whole intimacy and actually now a childbirth educator because I believe that that is a part of the sexual experience as well. And so I want to make sure that I get to advocate and teach people how to advocate for themselves when it comes to the birth that they desire. And so I'm a certified hypnobabies instructor. And then that business is Blissful Birth, Casey. So I do all of the things.
On the things. We are so proud of you and those things.
So we have Aleisha back today. We're going to talk about sex positivity in marriage.
And I will say, I have grown this much more
I think
in my comfortability. Yes, yes.
I'm so proud.
But after we talked to you the last time, well, not the last video, but after we talked to you on the phone, Cortez and I did use our cards.
You know, I was gonna ask you.
That was fun. Look. That was fun.
We talk about that offline.
Right. That was fun. So you would be proud of me. Yes. Yes. I'm more comfortable and not as like
right.
Yeah, I'm not whispering.
She really
as much.
She really is getting better.
Yes.
She really is. I'm proud of her.
And we praise God.
Yes.
Yes. So we want to talk about just, when it comes to positivity in marriage, we know how a lot of us, especially if we've grown up in the church, how, the way it was fed to us is just this what it is. Yeah. Don't do it till you're married. And nobody really shows you what that looks like, how you navigate it, how you're just supposed to turn around. Now you're supposed to be able to drop, bend, all these things.
Stop, drop, holding down.
Stop, drop, roll, all of that. Yeah. And so it can look, it doesn't look in the most positive light as this beautiful thing that God has created, this spiritual experience, it's a beautiful thing, but we don't come into it looking like that. We just know the little harsh things we hear from the church and then what we see on TV, social media and everything else. So it's like this extreme from, hey, don't do this, don't do that. But here is the freaks and the and the sexy reds and the, and where do I fit in the middle of that?
Right.
I have so many thoughts about that, but we're going to keep it positive.
So let's talk about, initial exploration and how it should be navigated. I guess like in communicating with one another.
So even what you just said, how should it be? Right? There is no should.
Yeah.
There is what works for you and your spouse.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's part of, and I know these days, like deconstructing your faith has like, grown, right? We should probably deconstruct what we have heard societally, especially within the church, about what we should or should not be doing in our bedrooms. Because if I see one more sermon talking about shouldn't nobody be going down on, first of all, you should stay out of my bed.
Right. Right. Right.
In the words of one of my good friends, you do what you have to fight for. And that should not be being up in between my sheets.
Okay.
Praise God, let me back up from the camera. So, one is just having a conversation. So the cards that Adrienne was mentioning, they are by a Black sexologist by the name of Dr. Shamira. And they are called Use Your Mouth, pun intended. And so if you find that you are having difficulty coming up with the words, or just need something to help you as you are trying to demystify what sex means to you. Like we feel like we have to do things in a certain way, or even if you're talking to your good girlfriends who there's safety amongst them. What works for them and how they communicate doesn't work for you. And that's perfectly okay. But again, as long as it's a trusted space, I don't find an issue with, okay, hey, what kind of communication are you guys having? Like because if we talking about is community and there's safety and gathering with the saints now, we ain't just talking about having Bible study.
Right.
Because we can be praying and should be praying over our beds and the sex that's happening in them and the intimacy that's happening in and outside of it.
Yes.
So I think that's what I would say, like, trying to navigate using different things to be able to figure out the best communication style that suits you when you're trying to have these conversations, and having a good support system to help you as you're developing that vocabulary. And defining what it looks like for you.
So what would you suggest? I know you mentioned like the cards. Other suggestions would you have from helping someone to start to navigate? Like a cards obviously would be helpful, but just in case, do you have some other suggestions?
So especially for my Christian folks, so there's an app called the Ultimate Intimacy app. It is created by a Christian couple, and it is phenomenal. There are so many good things in there. There is a secure private chat in there. There are games inside of there, and you can choose different things within there. So if you want hot and steamy, you can have that. If you don't, you won't have to use it. Right? If you want to just have the beautiful thing about it is, like, yes, it is like it can be sex focused, but it also dibbles and dabbles into like areas about romance and finance and spirituality. So again, when we're talking about this idea of sex and intimacy, because they are not the same, right? So when we're talking about this idea of sex and intimacy can be fostered through communication that isn't necessarily sexual in nature. So, for my people who are sapiosexuals, right? And you capture my mind as the way that you get me going, using those types of things definitely is helpful in creating kind of like this lifestyle of intimacy rather than, okay, well, I want to get it in tonight. And so let me just, rub your boobs a couple times or, like, can we do something that can, kind of like that slow burn? Ain't nothing with a quickie now. Okay. But also, building up our toolkit in order to use that. So Ultimate Intimacy app has some things. Another one would be okay, before I say that one. Another one, before I say the one I'm laughing at, Spicer. So Spicer, not a Christian-based app. Okay. So for my saints, if you clutch your pearls easy, don't do this one. Okay. Okay. So it basically asks you, okay, click yes or no or maybe about these different sexual things that you might be interested in. And then you can sync up the phones again, it's like similar to the other app. You can sync up your phones and then you'll see the list of, oh, okay, here are the things that we both have interest in. And you can create a conversation based on that. And even maybe if it's the maybe list and maybe it's a no for you, but just leaning into the curiosity. Oh, like what about this made you want to, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
again, being curious about your partner. Now the last one. Okay, so I'm going to preface this because in America, how we view sex is much different than how the rest of the world does.
Mhm.
It's not as taboo. Um, it's much more widely accepted. Like they don't necessarily even I won't even say necessarily. They don't sexualize like breastfeeding.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, so this is how I preface this. Now the last app is Vegucated. It is probably more of an investment. However, when it comes to that app specifically, there's like tutorials, and it's such a vast resource. Again, not faith-based. Okay. Don't you come on here. I don't want her to see nobody in the comments talking about Alicia has said no, she didn't. That's our problem now. We feel like everything it got to be smother covered and got on a turtleneck with a long skirt
Right.
down to the floor.
Right. Right.
Go to therapy and talk about that, okay?
Right.
Nothing wrong with it, but like there's a fine line.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if what you got to pay for is long skirts and I just want to do missionary, God bless you, God keep you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But for those who want to explore and be okay with in their exploration, finding the things that they like, that they don't like, that might be a little bit too much. That's okay. But Beducated is a fantastic resource for just about anything,
Mhm.
literally.
I have a question for you. You were talking about sapiosexuals.
Mhm.
Do you find it to normally be women most of the time in your experience?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean you do have so what I will say, especially within my practice, um, it's a yes and sometimes. So yes, um, but the and part of it is when maybe you see where desire levels for women are higher, maybe it's not as important, but still a factor for them. But I would say about 90% of my clientele that is female, yeah, typically like having yourself mentally stimulated is literally just a catalyst for everything else that follows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about, and again, this doesn't necessarily have to be sexual in nature, but when there's that sense of safety and security, and you got my back no matter what, and even if we fussing and fighting, I know at the end of the day it's us against the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very different in terms of even reconciling after a conflict, um, when there is that sense of safety. And yeah, the sex bring you back together. Uh-huh.
Yeah. We were just talking about that on our last episode, because we actually had a rabbi on the show,
Oh,
and
nice.
talking about what we call the sex behind the scenes, but we were talking about basically trying to get our audience to understand that this is something that God created.
Mm-hmm.
Created this.
Yeah.
He wanted us to have pleasure in this.
Yeah.
And that it needs to stop being separated.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not meant to be over there and over there.
Yeah.
He wants us to enjoy it, and we need to kind of get away from being ashamed of it, not working on it, shaming others for it, you know.
Yeah. One way that she explained it was like when you experience orgasm, it's like heaven on earth.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
Shondo.
Okay.
Yeah, you see what I did there? Shondo.
Shondo.
So look, speaking of this is definitely something that a lot of the saints don't want to talk about. Is toys. So
Daggone it, I was gonna bring some stuff out, but I didn't. Y'all know I got to know where I can and I didn't ask.
Yes.
That's all right. We can do another episode.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, for now, we'll just talk about it. You know, like some, you know, even me myself, like we've went to stores, and I'm gonna tell you, we're just like, oh, let's just go to a store. We go to a store, we're going there, and we just you want to try something, but you'd be so lost. Like, what would you suggest as a good way to start? And like, even if one of these apps or you know, another app or site where you can kind of like put together, okay, well, maybe let's try this. Okay, so because of this and this one or this would be a good suggestion. Do you have a suggestion?
Yeah. So a couple of things. The Ultimate Intimacy app actually has toys within their shop. So that's a good place to start. I am a fan now. Again, this is me personally, my opinion about things that can help people get their feet wet. I am a fan of a vibrating panty because it is the give and take and the anticipation of it, right? So one of the ones I'm over here looking at, see, I'm stay focused. It's when I get in my toy bag, I be anyway. So there's one, I can't think of the name of it, goodness. Because there's another one called a Wee Vibe. That's not the one I'm thinking of. At any rate, so the one that I'm thinking of, there's a magnet on it, and so you'll put the longer piece inside of the panty, and then the magnet will go on the outside, and it's meant to be placed right in front of the clitoris. Now, the fun part about this is it's connected via Bluetooth. And so then your partner can then have the control. So say y'all decide to go out for a date night. And y'all sitting here, yeah, can I order some? Wait a minute.
I seen somebody do that on a movie. I can't remember, or show or something.
So it's one of my favorite things because, and as long as you get a quality one, right? That's the biggest thing about it. Because it can be lighthearted and fun.
Yeah.
Like, and that's something, you know, if y'all want to role play and he meets you at a bar.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like keeping it lighthearted. So that's one of the ones I would say. A traditional bullet can definitely be good introductory. Maybe not the one that's connected to the wire, or maybe it can be. Hey, no judgment. But you know, we have come further in technology, so we don't have to be stuck to wires and batteries, right? We don't have to be stuck to that. A classic bullet, or like the massage wands. That's a good introductory toy as well. And then anything, especially for my women, with clitoral stimulation only. I know everybody is not, again, do what you had to pay for. Some people want to go a little farther. That's not what we're talking about. So anything maybe like a rabbit or something like that. that uses clitoral stimulation is good. For my men, I would say, I mean, they still don't see, because I don't want to get y'all banned. I know this is going on YouTube. So we'll say P and we all know what that means, okay? So
Yeah.
like the rings where it can be at the base, those are good ones because especially the ones that have like the vibrating piece at the top. So when there is intercourse happening, it can be rubbing up against the clitoris as well. You might get sorry, I'll be trying to use language and then I'll be remembering where it's getting posted. So yes, because over here in these parts we use anatomically correct names.
Okay.
Yeah.
Praise God, but YouTube sometimes don't like that, so I apologize in advance. Okay. And then I would also say some of like your sleeves that you can use as well for introduction for men. Um, so that's the way I had to say it.
Oh.
It's
Ah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Now we know how to read lips over there.
Right.
Yeah.
that was for the people in the back who didn't realize that they had to read my lips.
Right.
But yeah, those are good introductory ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to know. Because I don't know about you if y'all experience the same thing, but we'll be all motivated, ready. Let's go. And we get there like, okay, all of these rings with the thing with the snake, all the, it's just get overwhelming. And then you don't expect some of these to be as pricey. And I'm like, we probably should have did some research before we came on ring. But
yeah, I know the first time that we went to a store and we saw the bra, I was like, $10.
Yeah.
It's okay about Texas.
I am weak.
Why is that?
Yeah.
But we did decide to. I went on Lilo. Oh, is that giving them free ads?
Yeah. You said it already.
Yeah, I done said it already. Hey, girls. But I went on that website and I got the sucky vibrator.
Yep.
Yeah, because I wanted to try something new outside of the just a regular bullet.
Yeah.
Got the sucky vibe.
Like the rose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tried that.
Yeah.
And I really like that one.
Okay.
It's a new experience.
Oh.
It is.
Listen, that rose will get you in 5 seconds flat.
Yeah.
So the reason why I didn't say that it's an introduction is because of how quickly it can go.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to use that as like the dessert on top of the appetizer and the entree, cool. But I wouldn't necessarily suggest it be like if this is my introduction, because that, yeah, no.
Real quick.
Yeah. Like, all right, well.
Whew. Well, let's clean up and move on.
Don't you make you some dinner?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, again, if we're talking about a quickie and he bang, 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 and we use the thing in tandem, cool.
Right.
Okay. We are equal opportunity orgasms over here.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
So another question that we have. So we know that we're coming together and we're experimenting and we have the toys and we have the cards and things like that. What's another way to continue working on like the sex positivity between husband and wife? Like,
Is this where you think is this going where I think you want me to go? Okay. So we're talking about P dates and V dates. Is that what we're talking about? Okay.
I mean,
this is hilarious. This is what you want to do. But that's not the point of the P date and the V date. So yes. Okay. So I was first introduced to this concept specifically about a V date by Emily Nagoski. She is a sexologist. She's an educator. I want to say, oh yeah, she's Dr. Emily Nagowski. And so she does so much work and has so much literature around like the orgasm gap, um, meaning for those who don't know, right? The orgasm gap meaning how much less women orgasm in comparison to men. And why that is a thing is just because there has been, and I dare I say continues to be, a lack of education research on the female anatomy, because it is more complex, than male anatomy when it comes to arousal and those types of things. So she introduced this idea of having a V date because there are people out here who have never ever seen their vulva, not to be confused with Volvo. Okay.
Okay.
That ain't what I
I'm
said.
sure, but she's not a sedan.
True. And so, and this is even from a health perspective, right? Like we can't let our doctors know about changes that we see if we've never even looked.
Yeah.
And so, again, this is not necessarily sexual in nature, the way I'm talking about it, about how like the book is, but like just taking a mirror and looking. Okay, are my outer lips smaller or larger? Are they smaller or larger than my inner lips? Do I have more of a clitoral hood or less? And just really understanding what your vulva actually looks like. Now, when we're getting into more of like the intimacy aspects of it, again, do what you have the faith for, because this is not necessarily me tapping into masturbation. We also not gonna say Aleisha said that, okay? Praise God. Um, but also, especially within marriage, like do what you got to pay for. Okay. I definitely highly encourage um conversation around masturbation. Just one, because so y'all know and are on the same page, because maybe you're not comfortable with your spouse doing things solo, but is it something to where like, oh, okay, we can be laying next to each other and stimulating ourselves or stimulating the other people, right? Again, when we're talking about this level of communication, we then know what our spouses are comfortable with or not. Okay. So when we're talking about this idea of a V date, um, it could be even something where your spouse gets involved. Okay, so see what happens if you um I know where my vulva, I mean where my yep, there she go. You know she ain't never far away. You know she's never far away. I'm trying to find the other one. So this is the entire clitoris. I was looking for my other one. But anyway, so this is the entire thing. And so when we're talking about this idea of a V date, if all of this, so this is the only part that we see on the outside, right? So if we're doing our V dates with our spouses, and it's like, okay, so maybe, and again, with some moisturization, okay? I don't care if you wet it in water. Moisturization.
Right, right.
Okay, especially when it's just an exploratory type of thing. But maybe it's okay, well, try just running like the backs of your fingers up the inside of my outer lip and seeing what their response looks like. Um, because yes, we know that things can get moving by having actual pressure and movement of actually the glands, but we have all of this other real estate that we don't take advantage of. And so that's part of what we're talking about when it's a V date, right? Same thing with the B date. Okay. Now, while they might not have, now research says this, and I've seen a little bit of research that kind of disputes the number, but on average, the research would suggest that there is double the nerve endings in a clitoris than it is for the glans clitoris than it is for the glands for a penis.
Mhm.
But that does not mean And actually, there's more if they are not circumcised.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Now, yes, that comes with a conversation about cleaning, but we ain't here to shame nobody who still got their foreskin, okay?
Right.
Because actually there's more sensation for them.
Mm.
Because yep, it is more sensation for them.
Mm.
Another conversation, y'all faces.
Sorry, look.
It's okay. It's okay. I mean, I get it. That's a lot of people's response.
Yeah.
But being able to explore, right? I mean, and then once you figured out like the things and the tips and the tricks, then you can add in things like ice. When you're talking about like temperature play, or like, there's I'm a fan of using the things that are in your house that are body safe, right? Maybe you put a metal spoon, in cold water, not ice. We ain't trying to,
Yeah,
right? Now let's be smart with the things we're doing, huh?
yeah.
Amen. But temperature play is something that you can introduce even with your P dates and V dates. And just stair stepping your way up, because then you're able to articulate, okay, no, 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 I don't like that. Um, Another great resource that I just thought about, it's called OMG Yes. And it's specific for women. And again, it does have some interactivity on it where this would be really, really good for a V date. I'm glad that just come on, Holy Spirit. Thank you. Um, and so there is some interactivity. So like now again, there is nudity involved. And so that makes you uncomfortable, don't do this one. But people will talk about their experiences, and they'll talk about things like edging, about pressure. And then there is an interactive part where essentially like you can mimic on a vulva what it is that they're describing, so that you kind of get like a feel for it, and then throw that into your V-Date. So you can see if that works for you. And if not, okay, now you got more information to be able to communicate to your spouse about what you do and don't like.
Oh, right. Well, then that brings us right on to kinks, and not the ones in the back of our head.
I'm hollering. Okay, so this is my thing about kink. Kink gets a bad rap
Yeah.
because everybody thinks about whips and chains and BDSM, but that is what it is talked about. Having a P or V date could be a kink to somebody. That is because when we're talking about kink, it's whatever is a unconventional sexual practice or fantasy, or concept or whatever that can be taboo to you as an individual. So when I say that statement of do what you have the faith for, if mutual masturbation with your spouse is not a problem for you, okay, but it could be for somebody else, and so they would see that as a kink,
Yeah.
right? It's just whatever sexual activity. Now, of course, consent in marriage still is a thing. Hello, somebody, okay? And we have to make sure that we're vocal about the things that we do and don't like, because we also don't want to teach our spouses bad habits.
Right.
And that's our responsibility. But I mean, it's legitimately whatever you feel like is. I was about to use a word, and I don't know if that is necessarily the word that I want to use, so I'm not going to say it. I'm careful about the words I use. But it's creating this atmosphere, right, in which you two can exist. And it's like having a secret that nobody else gets to know about, right? And there should nobody else know about it anyway. But
Right.
it's that safety and trust and security that's created of what the vastness of your sexual experience can look like. Now, again, like something like Spicer could assist with that, in helping like having a conversation around what kink looks like, I think what is also especially important is not judging what your spouse says, right? Like rejection, especially in one of our most vulnerable states, especially in our marriages, um, can have catastrophic effects. And so if your spouse is then feeling judged because they're expressing something, um, and maybe it's, maybe they like feet. I don't know. I mean, we ain't really talking about fetishes, but let's just say for the heck of it, like, you think sucking toes is kinky and it's something that's taboo to you. Well, they feel like it's fine.
Right.
Well, don't judge them.
Right.
Now, is it something that maybe it's a hard pass for you? Sure. And maybe, babe, I hear that. I love that for you. I'm not quite comfortable. Or if it's something that like maybe you're just uncomfortable with, but it's not a no. Okay, I'd be willing to explore that. But I might laugh, I might da 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 da, but it still keeps the door of the communication open. So that you guys can continue to build trust within that framework. And then, again, build upon what you feel like is helping you to keep the sex and intimacy alive in your marriage.
Mhm. And I'm glad you brought up fetishes. What what is the difference between kink and fetish?
Yeah. So I do this with my clients. I will pull up the actual dictionary definition of stuff. Okay, so the literal definition of a fetish is a form of sexual desire in which gratification is strongly linked to a particular object or activity or a part of the body other than sexual organs.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's the literal definition.
Hmm.
But when you hear the definition, what does it then make you think?
Um,
Feet was the first thing I thought
yeah.
about.
Mhm.
I mean, but it's so you said gratification in the fetish, is it that they're getting like having an orgasm
It can
when
be.
oh, okay.
Yeah, it can be. Gratification can look different. Nope, I don't want to go there. Um, I'd be happy to remember what organ because I talk to any and everybody. So I still have to remember my audience. Still gotta remember my audience. So it can be like feet. There are people who um the example they use here, I hate when people kind of use this type of stuff, but it is technically a fetish, like a man who has a fetish for surgical masks.
Hmm.
What?
There are different types of, like, yes, you can have some of those things that people would um, consider odd. It can be those fetishes. I mean, that's why you kind of see like things like um, people paying for foot content on certain websites that will not be named, or
Yeah.
elbow content, or somebody being watching other. I just realized what you were doing. That's hilarious. But because there's something about that specific thing that draws them in a way that there is literally gratification and desire and all different types of things that elicit an arousal response within them.
Mhm. So someone that did have like a foot fetish, like you could to get things started, they could, if you're comfortable, let them touch your feet or whatever.
Hmm.
And then, okay,
Hmm.
okay. Because in my mind, I used to think that a fetish and a kink
We're the same
were
thing.
like the same thing
Yeah.
because, well, I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
because again, I think that that's largely because everything is associated with BDSM.
Mhm.
And because we lump it all together because we aren't necessarily comfortable or willing to explore, ask questions, outside of missionary position. Because they talk about missionaries in the Bible. They don't talk about, XYZ things. Well, first of all, them ain't the missionaries that they was talking about.
Right.
Huh?
Lord. Well, I love that you how you explain like this is something that this like sacred between you two. It's something, and it's one of the things like that, but when you say it, you like really think about like, man, this is really something that's like very intimate, it's personal, it's something just for us.
Yeah.
And we can have fun with, we can like explore, like, it's just there's like a tremendous amount of opportunity for bond, intimacy, all those things. So
Yes.
Learning, exploring how to talk to each other, how to be confident and being like, well, I like when you do this, or I don't like when you do that, or like you said, exploring with each other, saying what you do like, what you don't like. I guess I'll let you touch my feet. You want to see my kneecaps?
Here's the thing, the behind the kneecap, behind the knees is an erogenous zone.
Oh. Okay. Well, let me stretch these hamstrings then.
Drink your water and stretch too. That's why some of us got issues out here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And eat some bananas for some potassium.
No
Charlie horses.
Right. Right. Get that magnesium in.
Right. Well, we thank you again, Miss Aleisha, for coming on and being silly with us, but also teaching us about some good stuff.
Oh, I want everybody to have the best sex of their life.
Yes.
That's my prayer.
Yes.
I had a older lady tell me, this lady, and she actually, well, she doesn't go to our church, but she kind of visits with us sometimes. And she told me at a meditation retreat, she was like, so how long you and your husband married? I told her how long. She was like, let me give you some advice. I'm not married anymore. I was married, but if I could tell you any advice, have as much sex as possible. You hear me? It was so weird to hear it from her because she was like, she probably like her 70s or something. But she was like, do you hear me? She was so serious.
Do you know some of the highest STD rates is in nursing homes?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So if they getting it in, it's amazing what happens when sometimes we get married and then the single people have more sex than the married folks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, my theory on that I have many ideas about this, right? When you were single and maybe you didn't decide to wait, no judgment, but there is a level of selfishness that as long as I get mine, and then when it's somebody, right, when you're also talking about the longevity, and like how what used to work is now not working, and being willing to shift and pivot with your spouse and continuing to learn them, yes, sexually, but also mentally, right? Spiritually. Those are the things and the connectivity that help to make the sexual experience help grow and evolve as well.
Yeah. And we were talking about on last week about the, again, no judgment, but it's just that much more powerful and intimate when it is in the marriage. There's a whole lot more going on, like at the soul level. So
absolutely, literally warfare.
Yeah.
Why do you think the enemy had it so bad?
Oh, not the church guy.
Oh, right.
You better get some praise and worship going on.
Okay. Rolling in the Honda.
EKOC on my EBT. Glory.
Oh.
It's just Coke backwards.
Oh my gosh. Y'all see, we having too much fun here. We could stay on here all day. Because we told y'all this was the bestie right here. So we're going to go ahead and shut this down. You already know we're going to come back and have her on again because we have the best time of our lives on here. But we got to let her get back to her family. We got to get back to our family. So thank you again, Aleisha, for coming on and sharing your wisdom and your knowledge, helping our couples. Their own marriages and relationships to be start to be comfortable with having the conversations and giving them some pointers about where they can start, how they can explore toys, how they can what resources they can look up to start exploring and to start conversations and things like that. All of those things are helpful. So we're definitely grateful for that.
Yes. And can you please share your contacts? Like how can people schedule appointments? Social media.
So on social media, I am Whole, WHOLEU, Therapy KC. That's my email at gmail.com. I am on Therapy for Black Girls. I'm on Psychology Today. Facebook, same thing, Whole You Therapy. I'm out here.
Yeah, she in the therapist street.
Is as long as you live in Missouri and Kansas.
Yes.
Okay. Can't help you otherwise.
Right. All right, y'all. Well, we gonna go ahead and let everybody go. We love y'all so much.
Love y'all.
My baby be doing.
Love you. Right. No motor skills.
Right.
We're working on it.